Dad has never liked me. For the past 18 years, I hardly ever saw him. On the day of my coming-of-age ceremony, I asked him, "Dad, I want to see you one last time. Can you come?" He became even angrier. "Just like your mother, stop acting. It's really disgusting." I left this world when I was 18, not long after. The whole city was shocked. Jackson has always been calm and rational, but this time he seemed to have lost control. From the day I was born, I could feel that Dad had no fondness for me. The butler held me, still a baby, and walked up to him. I looked at the man in front of me, making cooing sounds with a smile on his face, but he didn't look at me at all. After finishing his work, he coldly said one thing: "You look too much like Emily. It's really uncomfortable. I live with Aunt Sarah. She treats me very poorly. Before I was 4 or 5 years old, she only tormented me psychologically, always saying, 'Poor Lily, a child no one wants, only I will care about you. I'm your mother after all, right? Lily, she never buys me nice clothes. She doesn't care for me when I'm sick either,' until the housekeeper found out. Only then would she take me to the hospital. Later, she started to hit me. She often burns me with cigarette butts, and she even broke my teeth. I can't read books or magazines, and I don't have my own things. I live in a spacious big house, but the only place that truly belongs to me is a small area next to the kitchen trash can. There is a small mat there. It's already worn out. It's been used for many years. I often sit there. My mind was filled with various imaginations. Whenever I heard the nannies whispering about Jackson and my daughter in the house, I began to fantasize that Jackson was my dad, imagining that I had a gentle mother. Our family of 3 lived happily together. Such days went on for 7 years. One day, Aunt Sarah was suddenly taken away by the police in handcuffs. I heard she was abusing children and had mental issues. I moved into a small house. I started school. For the first time, I met Jackson, whom my sisters often mentioned. He was standing there. There was an awe-inspiring aura about him. He was saying, "Give her this money, send her here." The assistant sister walked into the room. She brought me many clothes, toys, and books. She transferred a large sum of money to me. That Jackson didn't even glance at me. After handling his affairs, he left without looking back. At the age of 7, I began to live alone. It was my first time going to school. I was both excited and a bit anxious. At school, a boy walked past me. His hair was fluffy. He had an excited expression on his face. His eyes were sparkling. What was most special was, he was surrounded by people. Everyone was chatting and laughing along the way. I couldn't help but stare in awe. This was something I had never experienced before. For the past 7 years, I had only a small diary and a mat to keep me company. He excelled academically. He was well liked at school. He had many friends. When I first entered the classroom, he took the initiative to walk over to me and said, "Lily, could you lend me your Chinese textbook? I forgot to bring mine." I was so excited that my face turned red. I was particularly happy inside. I quickly nodded and handed him the book. Class was about to start. He still hadn't returned the textbook to me. I'm a bit anxious, but I can't find him, so I have to sit and wait for class. As a result, the teacher suddenly called on me. "Lily, where is your book?" I lent it to someone else. The teacher standing at the podium got angry. "You are so small, and yet you dare to shift the blame to others," the teacher said in surprise. "I really didn't expect you to be Jackson's daughter." She said some more things, but I couldn't take it in anymore. Jackson's daughter, what does that mean? In these 7 years, no one told me who my parents are. Now, happiness suddenly descended. I'm a bit caught off guard. My heart is both flustered and hopeful. When I used to get beaten and was covered in wounds, I often thought, if only I had a dad. Aunt Sarah might not always hit me. Maybe I could feel some love too. Can I be like other kids, living a happy life with Dad? I can't help but start to think, what kind of person is my dad, really? I quietly listened to my classmates' conversations. Jackson recently donated some money again. I heard it's for flood relief efforts. Everyone praises Jackson for being so socially responsible. If only I could be his daughter. That would be incredibly happy. That's right. Earlier, when I was in school, I saw Jackson comforting children. He is especially kind and approachable, responsible and kind-hearted. I could use a dozen dads like that. Hearing them talk about this, I couldn't help but sit up straighter. It turns out my dad is so remarkable. Although my days in school aren't particularly good, they're already much better compared to my past life. Having a gentle female teacher who always cares about me. She often looks at me with a sympathetic gaze. From time to time, she sighs. "What a pitiful child. She always gently pats my head, and she would hold me and tell stories. Once I asked her, "Teacher, where can I see Dad? And where is my mom?" Mom is watching Lily from above. As for Dad, she paused for a moment, looking at me with an expectant gaze. She walked into another room to make a call. "Hello, good day. It's like this. Lily's class is having a parent-teacher meeting soon." "Yes. Do you have time?" All right, all right. I was originally full of anticipation, but I ended up disappointed. Dad did not show up. He only sent his assistant to accompany me to the meeting. Although the teacher was also a bit disheartened, she still patiently comforted the young me. "It's okay. Lily, Dad just happened to have something today, so he couldn't make it right. That's how it is. Dad might have some misunderstandings about me, but I will work hard to make him like me. As I gradually grow up, I learned about some past events. 8 years ago, Dad liked a movie star, but the family did not agree. Emily came from a prominent family. She loved her father very much. In order to be with her father, she resorted to all sorts of extreme measures. The family couldn't do anything about her. Eventually, they agreed to their marriage. However, after the marriage, their life was unusually cold. To keep her father, Emily constantly entangled him in various ways. She often made unreasonable scenes. Dad couldn't stand Emily's behavior. He had no choice but to distance himself from her. A year later, I was born. Emily died during childbirth. Dad didn't even attend her funeral. Days later, the butler brought me to him. He only said one sentence. Dad looked at me and said, "You look too much like Emily. It's really uncomfortable." I thought to myself, Dad must have a deep dislike for me. Otherwise, why does everyone I meet say Jackson doesn't like his daughter? Only I refuse to believe it. I want to prove to Dad that I am a sensible child, that I am a good daughter. I also want Dad to hold my hand, take me shopping. I also want to celebrate my birthday with Dad, go to the amusement park together. The teacher said, "Parents all like children with good grades." I study hard and became the top student in the class. Certificates are plastered all over the wall. The teacher always praises me as a motivated good child. There is a boy next door who looks like an angel. He is the top student in his class. Since that time, I borrowed a textbook. He has never acknowledged me again. I'm feeling quite sad inside. I don't even know what made him unhappy. Later, he returned the textbook to me. He also explained the reason to me. I didn't take it seriously at all. I thought it was just a coincidence. 2 days later, I found out that his identity is Jackson's son. Hearing this news, I was completely stunned. After a while, I figured out our relationship. I'm Dad's daughter. He's Dad's son, so I should be his sister or brother. I was very excited inside, but I felt shy to approach him actively. That boy, like sunshine, turned out to be my family. I scored high again. The nanny told Dad this good news, but he still didn't respond. Days later, Dad sent some gifts to the school's teachers. In the postscript, he wrote, "Thank you for your hard work, teachers. My child is mischievous. I'm sure I've caused you quite a bit of trouble." The teacher quickly said it was no problem. His gaze was filled with concern. Lily is a very understanding child. Everyone thinks so, but Dad doesn't see it that way. He believes Lily is inherently restless. But how could anyone be born unlikable that day after school? I was cleaning up. Suddenly, I heard a classmate say, "Lily, are you a fake? You know Ethan from the next class." "Right, he's Jackson's child. He takes Jackson's surname. But why do you have the surname Emily, to put it bluntly? He's just an unwanted child." When the surrounding classmates heard this, they couldn't help but laugh. The obedient me suddenly seemed like a different person. I got into a scuffle with them. "I have a dad." The boy across from me got anxious. He picked up a piece of glass and stabbed it towards my hand. Blood immediately gushed out. The last thing I heard before I fainted was a female classmate's scream. What I saw was the terrified face of a boy. The next day, I was admitted to the hospital. The teacher immediately contacted my dad, but after waiting for 2 or 3 days, he still hadn't shown up. The boy's mother stared at me with a look of disdain. She whispered to the parents next to her, "What I heard is true. He really is an unwanted child. This makes things easier. Just spend a little money, and my child can be safe and sound." I lay expressionless on the hospital bed. It is a parent's nature to protect their children. But why does Dad not even want to look at me? Their discussions grew louder, as if they were afraid I wouldn't hear. A sound of footsteps approached. They immediately fell silent. "Jackson, why did you come in person? Don't worry. Lily is your daughter. We have used the best medical equipment. There shouldn't be any problems." I worked hard to open my eyes. After locking eyes with him, I couldn't help but blurt it out, "Dad." Her voice carried a hint of a cry. He walked to the bedside. My face suddenly turned red, like a little fan meeting her idol. I felt extremely flustered inside. I desperately thought about what to say next, but in the next moment, my smile froze. He looked at me coldly. His words were as piercing as ice. "Lily, you're acting even more convincingly than Emily. How much did you spend to have them beat you? Playing this trick again? You've really learned a lot." At that moment, I felt like I had lost my support. The teacher stood next to my dad and said, "Lily is very well behaved and very smart. All the teachers like her very much." Oh, I could hear my dad's cold tone. Tears unexpectedly welled up. It was clearly a hot summer, yet I felt like I had fallen into an ice cellar. Isn't this how my dad always talks to me? Why is it different this time? Why does my heart hurt so much? Is it because I have missed the word ad for a full 10 years, from 7 to 17? Every birthday, I would invite my dad, but he never agreed. Could this really just be my fantasy? How I wish, even if he could just look at me. But his eyes only held disappointment and indifference. It shouldn't be like this. No matter how much I cried, he showed no sympathy at all. He turned away once again. I feel that my dad's heart is as hard as iron. But why is he so concerned about his own son? But he is so indifferent to me. I saw it with my own eyes. He hurriedly took Ethan to the hospital. His forehead was covered in sweat. His eyes were filled with anxiety. I was already lying on the hospital bed, but he still remained indifferent. I'm 18 years old. This day is my coming-of-age ceremony. I blew out the candles in the empty room. I made the last call to Dad. "Dad, I want to see you one more time. Can you come?" The voice on the other end was cold. Previously pretending to be injured, now it has escalated. "Still want to pretend to commit suicide. The last time, then you can leave." The phone slipped from my ear. It felt like my tears had dried up. For the last time, there are no more tears in my eyes. Since I was 15, I understood my fate. He has a heart condition. The doctor said he wouldn't live past 18. I heard the result announced by the doctor. I felt nothing at all. Nowadays, Lily is already considered very lucky to breathe freely under the sun, is such a precious thing. However, soon, even this limited right will be taken away. In the cold winter, in the biting cold wind, I sat alone inside the house. The candles on the birthday cake were still burning. 15 minutes later, my heartbeat stopped. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself floating in the air. The TV in the bedroom was still playing. On the screen were Ethan, Sophia, and Dad. The three of them looked very happy. Sophia was the actress Jackson liked 8 years ago, after Mom passed away. They got married. They get along quite well. Ethan is an outstanding son in every way. The first time I saw him, I thought he looked like an angel with little wings. Later, I only realized then, he is completely a demon. While Jackson was handling the documents, he received a call from the teacher. "Is this Lily's father? She hasn't come to school these past few days. Our teacher is very worried about her." He immediately frowned upon hearing this. He just casually brushed it off and hung up the phone. Not long after, the assistant knocked and came in again. "Jackson, your daughter." Before he finished speaking, he interrupted directly. "Don't tell me these trivial matters." "What disappearance?" "Playing the same tricks as Emily." "Jackson, I checked. Your daughter seems to have a heart condition. I suggest you take a look. Just in case." The documents in his hands suddenly fell down. He was stunned for a moment. It took him a while to come back to his senses. He immediately grabbed the coat from the chair and quickly walked out. "How is that possible? She's living quite comfortably. I send her a good amount of money every month. How could she have a heart condition?" Original text, probably again. But seeing the assistant's serious expression, he still decided to drive to Lily's school. As soon as he entered, he ran into a gentle female teacher. Right, he thought it was probably again. But seeing the assistant's serious face, he still decided to drive to Lily's school. Upon entering, he encountered a gentle female teacher. "You must be Jackson. Lily has been missing for a whole day. We are all very worried." Seeing Jackson's bad complexion, she sighed and said, "Jackson, I know you have concerns about Lily, but she is indeed a good and obedient child. Perhaps for some reasons, you formed a prejudice against her from the start. But that child has grown up under my care since she was little. She always thinks of others. For you, she works hard to improve her grades. She also behaves particularly well in front of the teacher. Even when sick, she never complains. She's so understanding that it makes one feel heartbroken." The words are not yet finished. Then he saw a group of teachers walking quickly toward him. "Is this Lily's father? Please make sure to visit Lily. She has always been very obedient. She would definitely not skip class for no reason. She must have encountered some trouble. A few days ago, she was chatting happily with her classmates. It really makes one worry." He looked at the worried teachers around him. He suddenly remembered what the nurse had said to him in the hospital. "Your daughter. She is the strongest child I have ever seen." Jackson suddenly felt she has been lying in the hospital bed all this time. She didn't cry or fuss during the injections. She is particularly well-behaved. He always thought Lily was Emily. In fact, he doesn't really know Lily. Parents' mistakes. What does that have to do with an innocent child? When Emily passed away, she was just a baby. She didn't understand anything. Since Jackson was born, he labeled Lily as disobedient and troublesome. Did he ever consider Lily's feelings? Jackson rubbed his temples. He felt a bit of a headache. He sent Lily a message. "I'm coming to celebrate your birthday. Although it's a day late, I want to make it up to you. What gift do you want?" 10 minutes passed. Still no reply. He couldn't help but grip his phone tightly. He scrolled up. He found that almost all the messages were from Lily. "Dad, I met a little kitten today. She was really clingy. So cute, Dad. I see that parents in movies always take their kids to amusement parks. It would be great if we could go together too. But I know you're very busy with work. You definitely don't have time. I was just saying it casually. Don't take it to heart. Dad, I got first place in the exam again today. 5 years ago, the girl added her dad on WeChat. Since then, she has been messaging him. 5 whole years have passed. Yet she hasn't received any replies. Jackson feels a bit upset. He drove to Lily's house. He walked into the cake shop, but he didn't know what flavor to choose. Suddenly, he remembered something mentioned during a chat with his son. "Dad, is Lily my sister? Then do you also love her?" "How could that be? The person I love the most is you." Ethan leaned his head against him and said, "Dad, Lily seems to really love mangoes. She remembered buying that kid a mango mousse cake once. That kid seemed to really like it." Jackson quickly paid the money. He rushed upstairs with the cake. Lily's place. The area downstairs was filled with police cars and ambulances. Jackson had a bad feeling in his heart. He quickened his pace up the stairs. "I had just reached the vicinity of the rental. The police stopped me. This is an official operation. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to approach." Jackson's eyes were slightly red. His lips were trembling. He said, "The person in that house is my daughter." The police turned around. He frowned slightly. "Oh, it's Mr. Jackson. I'm really sorry, please accept my condolences. Your daughter suffered a sudden heart attack. She unfortunately passed away." Jackson's expression froze instantly. He felt as if his heart was tightly gripped by someone. "Mr. Jackson, Mr. Jackson." She came back to her senses, noticing that the other person was looking at him with a worried expression. After a long while, he slowly began to speak. "I want to go in and see her room." He pushed open the door. He walked into a room that was neither too big nor too small. In the center of the table lay a diary. Jackson's hands trembled slightly. He picked up the diary and started flipping through it. February 16th, the first day of school. "I was really excited. I met a very handsome boy. He actually took the initiative to greet me. He borrowed my textbook, but he never returned it. As a result, I was criticized by the teacher. Later, he explained to me. He said it was just an accident, but since then, he never took the initiative to talk to me again. I felt very sad. Did the previous incident make him misunderstand me? I really want to be friends with him, but I don't dare to get close." February 17th. "Today I had another nightmare. The doctor told me many of the wounds on my body may leave scars, but I actually don't care about them. However, every time I fall asleep, I always think of her grabbing my hair. She always liked to grab my shoulders and slam my head against the wall. She always liked to poke my arm with a still-lit cigarette butt. She was truly a terrifying person. I shouldn't speak ill of others like this. It makes people think I'm a bad kid. But why are there always people in this world who can hurt others at will? Why are these wrongdoers not punished as they should be?" Jackson's hands trembled slightly as he flipped through the diary. He knew this person. This person had been imprisoned for child abuse. He never expected that this person would lose control like this. He couldn't dare to think further about what Lily went through before she turned 7. He was afraid to continue thinking. February 18. "I actually have a dad. My classmates all say, Dad is a responsible, kind, and loving person. This makes me very happy and excited. Having a dad like this, I'm very proud. Teachers often say, parents like children who do well and are obedient, so I will work hard to be the most obedient child. To make Dad proud of me. May 12. I have been messaging Dad. Although he has never replied, I'm still very happy. My grades have been improving. Teachers all say, when I transition from primary to junior high, I will definitely be able to achieve good results. Actually, I hope Dad can spend more time with me. But Lily is a patient child. She will wait for Dad. A few tears fall onto the diary. Jackson quickly grabs a tissue to wipe it off. I was just about to continue flipping through things. The phone suddenly rang. Dad, didn't you say you would accompany me to the movies today? You're already 30 minutes late. Ethan's spoiled voice came through. But Jackson suddenly thought, Lily is a girl, but she never had the chance to act spoiled with me. He furrowed his brow in pain. He casually responded a few times. Then he hung up the phone. He looked around the room again. The wardrobe is right there. He opened it. It was stuffed full of school uniforms, but there were hardly any casual clothes. He was a bit surprised. He remembered what Ethan had told him before. Lily dresses up beautifully every day, but it's normal for girls to love beauty. Slowly, he began to feel that she was a bit frivolous. Looking at it now, how could this be possible? Lily has pitifully few clothes. Jackson pulled open the drawer. It was filled with diagnosis reports. The hospital's report states an allergy to mangoes. He looked at the result. For a moment, he was stunned. I floated in the air, looking at everything before me. Yet my heart was as calm as a still pond. It's really strange. At the moment my body disappeared, it seemed like my heart died along with it. I remember when I was 10. Ethan invited me and his friends to dinner. I happily agreed. I felt both excited and a bit shy. We sat around the table. Ethan suddenly said to his friends, Sister Lily has a special talent. You want to see it? Those people immediately got excited. He pointed at the leftover hamburger on the table. She especially likes to eat food that's not fresh. Previously, I even saw her take away the unfinished soup from the cafeteria. Ha ha ha, that's so funny. Oh, it's really strange. There are actually people like this. It's really uncomfortable. I was stunned. I unconsciously held the corner of my clothes. Treasure food. This habit is a deep impression left by my life over the past 7 years. Aunt Sarah often deliberately didn't let me eat. I had to develop this habit. Otherwise, I might have a stomach ache from hunger. I had just lowered my head when I saw a message from Ethan, Sister Lily. Could you please help me act it out? I originally wanted to refuse, but when I saw the last sentence, I changed my mind. I just wanted to make my friends happy. Do as I say, then I can take you to see Dad. I couldn't help it. I agreed. Then I devoured the burger that Ethan left behind. His friends occasionally gasped in surprise and applauded my performance. Amidst a lot of laughter, they said, Aunt Lily is truly amazing. The boy, who looks like an angel, smiled. He asked, why? I don't understand why he did that. I feel a heaviness in my heart. I gradually realized he might not be an angel, but a devil like Aunt Sarah. Fortunately, the next day, I had the chance to go shopping with Dad. The butler was carrying Ethan's toy. Following us, I walked with the butler, like a mere accessory. However, being able to see Dad, I'm already very satisfied. Ethan suddenly turned his head and said to Dad, Aunt Lily loves to eat mangoes. I just happened to see a mango-flavored cake. I decided to buy it for her. Dad immediately went over to pay. He actually held my hand. This was the first time I held hands with Dad. That moment, I felt extremely happy. He placed the small cake in front of me. Only then did I remember. I'm allergic to mangoes. This was the first gift that Dad gave her. I endured the discomfort. I finished the cake. Thank you, Dad. I really like this cake. Dad was busy wiping Ethan's mouth. I didn't hear that. Perhaps from his perspective, that was just a momentary whim. If it weren't for my son bringing it up, he probably wouldn't have noticed me at all. The next day, I fell ill. I had a high fever. It lasted for a whole week without subsiding. 8 years later, Jackson finally discovered that I am allergic to mangoes. It's quite a funny thing. Really, seeing his hands tremble, I suddenly felt that everything had lost its meaning. Everything was over. With the girl's departure, those obsessions have long since dissipated. Jackson continued to flip through the diagnostic report, except for an allergy to mangoes. There are also issues with heart disease, depression, and physical trauma. Due to the abuse suffered before the age of 7, many physical injuries can no longer fully heal. He can only go to the hospital for treatment regularly. By the time he turned 10, he was diagnosed with depression again. At the age of 15, I learned that I had a terminal illness. In that moment, Jackson felt as if his throat was being tightly choked. I packed up my diary. After tidying up the room, I hazily walked back home. Dad, you're back. As soon as he entered the door, Ethan rushed over. Sophia also came over and asked, "What happened? You don't look well." "Lily has passed away. The cause was heart disease." Sophia was taken aback. She pretended to squeeze out a few tears. Jackson immediately noticed the glee on her face. He wearily waved his hand. "Dad." Ethan became unhappy. He firmly grabbed Jackson's sleeve. "Ethan, you need to understand. Lily is allergic to mangoes." Ethan had never seen Jackson in such a low mood. He was momentarily stunned. After hearing this question, her face instantly turned pale. "Dad, what do you mean by that? You promised me before that you would love me forever." Jackson could see Ethan's guilt at a glance. He couldn't believe his beloved son could be so heartless. No matter how the two behind tried to persuade him, he didn't pay them any more attention. The next day, he went to where Lily lived again. "Sister, Dad doesn't like me. But why is that? What did I do wrong? You say I have suicidal thoughts." "Maybe. I'm not too sure either. Today, Ethan brought others to target me again. They splashed cold water on me. They also stuffed my desk full of trash. Although there are many kind classmates willing to help me, I don't want to drag them down. Ethan is really scary. He will do anything to achieve his goals. He can do anything. You need to seek help." I understand, but who should I ask for help? I dreamed of going to the amusement park with my dad. It was so much fun. I really wish this dream could come true. Are you saying I can go by myself? Should I learn to cherish myself? To be honest, I don't really understand what that is. I just want to go to the amusement park with my dad. I'm very happy today. My sister is really amazing. You noticed all of this because Dad took me out shopping. Didn't you say you can't eat anything you're allergic to? I know, but it was given to me by Dad in the report on depression. It was filled with Lily's self-talk. Jackson tightly clutched these papers and carefully placed them in a box. He thought to himself, "What a terrible person I am. Everyone says Jackson is a responsible and caring person, but in reality, he doesn't care about his daughter at all. He even caused her harm. Jackson's behavior is simply incomprehensible." Days later, this news spread throughout the city. Everyone said it was because Jackson's daughter had passed away. Didn't we hear before that Jackson really disliked his daughter? It seems now that those were just rumors. Jackson was running around everywhere, visiting everyone Lily had ever come into contact with. She was a very obedient child. Lily is especially gentle. She has a kind heart. She always dresses very simply. Actually, she is very beautiful. Perhaps it's because she lacks confidence. That's why she doesn't dress up much. Lily has always been very helpful. No matter which classmate asks her a question, she patiently answers everyone. I've never seen such a beautiful and gentle sister. Lily is always smiling, but I can feel that she hides deep sadness inside. In the end, a gentle female teacher spoke. She said, "I have watched that child grow up. It has been 10 years. She is really very sensible. But because of this, it makes people feel particularly heartbroken." When she learned that she had depression and heart disease, her face was unusually calm. That calmness is unsettling. I think for her, her father might be the only hope in her life. She turned to look at Jackson. She whispered, "If Lily were still alive, it's nice to know you care about her so much. She would definitely be very happy." I thought to myself, floating in the air, "Not anymore, teacher. Never again." Jackson locked himself in his room, focusing on painting. He rarely came to see me. He couldn't even remember what I looked like. Fortunately, the nanny saved some of my little photos. He painted from those photos. He kept painting. Paintings filled every corner of the house. The assistant pushed the door open. He was stunned by the sight before him. The whole room was filled with Lily's paintings. From age 1 to 18, I experienced laughter, running, and sadness, playing in the amusement park, watching movies on the sofa, surfing at the beach. "Jackson, we have arranged for a psychologist for you. Please go see him." Jackson did not turn around. He continued to paint his pictures. "Jackson, I understand that you are very sad about losing your daughter, but will locking yourself in your room all day and overthinking really solve the problem? Will it really solve anything?" There was no reaction from Jackson. The assistant sighed and left helplessly. The next day, Jackson was preparing to go back to the studio. Suddenly, he heard a commotion from inside. He pushed the door open and found Ethan holding a picture frame. He looked a bit flustered. "Dad, I didn't mean to." Jackson ignored him. A painting fell to the ground. The frame shattered into several pieces. The knocked-over water bottle made Lily's face a complete mess. Dad, why did you paint so many pictures of Sister Lily? She's already gone. Don't say that. Ethan was startled. He stared at the person in front of him. The person looked indifferent. He only looked at the painting with sadness. Ethan completely broke down. He shouted, I hate Lily. Why does she always have to take my things when she shows up? Now that she's dead, she still curses me. I don't like these paintings. I don't like the clothes these girls are wearing either. Dad clearly said he would love me forever. Ethan's tears kept falling. She grabbed the picture frame and smashed it, trying to vent her anger in this unreasonable way. Enough. Jackson waved his hand. Ethan was knocked back several steps. Get out. You shouldn't be here. Ethan touched his swollen face. He was completely stunned. The pain in his body made him realize the person in front of him was no longer the father he remembered. The next day, Jackson and Sophia officially got divorced. Ethan shouted angrily, How could this happen? You said you could change Jackson's mind. Love you forever. How about now? He's already divorced me, just the two of us like this. How do you live? You haven't completed your studies. You don't even have the ability to earn money. Really? I haven't finished speaking. The police rushed in. Miss Sophia, please come with us. Someone reported you for suspected illegal fundraising. Sophia was exposed for previous incidents, no backing support. Ultimately, she went to prison to serve her sentence. Ethan also fell into trouble. Someone revealed evidence of him bullying Lily. This incident quickly attracted widespread attention. Now he has become a target. Everyone is blaming him. Half a month later, he died in a hotel. The investigation results show that homicide has been ruled out. It was suicide. Jackson used all his money to establish a charity. It's called Lily. He spends every day in Lily's old room, living with her belongings. The longer it goes on, the more Jackson regrets. Lily was as kind and lovely as an angel, but he doesn't know what he did wrong. He repeatedly pushed her away coldly. He kept hurting her fragile heart. Jackson tosses and turns every night. Lily's face always appears in his dreams. Dad, please, spend one birthday with me. Lily watches herself coldly rejecting in the dream. Her face is filled with despair. He covers his head and says, It's not like this. Let me out now. Lily, I'm sorry. I will always love you. Jackson wakes up from the nightmare again. The pillow is already soaked with cold sweat. He gazed at Lily's radiant smile in the photo frame. Countless times he cried silently in the deep of night. October 1st, Jackson posted an update on his social media. An angel had once come and attached a photo of Lily. The next day, he ended his own life. Until the very last moment of his life, he stayed in Lily's room. That room had only a few more paintings added. Everything else remained unchanged. Later on, one of Jackson's friends organized these paintings and held an art exhibition. It was named An Angel Had Once Come. The girl's delicate face and radiant smile were displayed around the world. Everyone was amazed by this child. They all praised her. She is simply an angel. Those who attended the exhibition said confidently, I still linger in the air. Watching Jackson commit suicide, feeling a wave of confusion at that moment, a gentle voice came through. Hello, Lily, because you did many good deeds in your past life. So this time you have the opportunity to choose to reincarnate. By the way, you can also choose to be father and daughter with your dad in the next life. At that time, he will remember you. You will also be able to live a good life. No need. I just want to be born into an ordinary family. Living an ordinary life is enough. Goodbye. Lily, we will never meet again. Jackson, I walked into that light and left forever. When Jackson opened his eyes, he unexpectedly saw Lily. He immediately stood up and ran towards her. Just as he took a step, the scene before him changed. Lily was sitting on the lawn reading a comic book. Jackson was stunned, afraid to move, for fear that the scene would disappear. He waited quietly, greedily staring at every inch of Lily's skin. Dad. Lily suddenly turned around. She rushed into a man's arms. Did Lily behave well today? Mom brought you a strawberry cake. A gentle woman stood beside the man. Mom is the best. Lily happily kissed the woman's cheek. Oh dear, you only kiss Mom. I'm a little jealous. Lily laughed joyfully. She gave Dad a kiss. Dad immediately hoisted Lily onto his shoulder. He said, Tomorrow I'll take you to the amusement park. That's awesome. Dad is the best. Jackson watched the happy family. His gaze lingered for a long time. He watched their figures gradually walk away until they completely disappeared from sight. He whispered, I love you. Lily, Dad is telling you, I'm sorry. His tears silently fell, however. Lily is no longer the Lily she used to be. She has transformed into a brand new and better girl. Parents play an indispensable role in their children's growth. May all girls be treated gently by this world.